Uh,
Sure they are.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Eric Lorber. I'm the director of Rain Taxi. We've had such a wonderful first day of three here at our 20th annual Twin Cities Book Festival. Uh, with me on screen are some of the people you'll be hearing from shortly. We're really delighted to offer a festival stage this year to our friends at the University of Minnesota Libraries for their annual Kerlan Award Ceremony, this year celebrating the amazing Jon Scieszka. Uh, as a special treat, I've been reminding folks all day that we, in addition to author presentations, we have this amazing exhibit of publishers and organizations happening. And we wanted to give one of our sponsoring publishers a minute to talk to you about their work, which is absolutely vital in the community. So with us now is Eric Anderson from the University of Minnesota Press.
Thank you so much for having me. And on behalf of the University of Minnesota Press, we couldn't be more excited to be a sponsoring exhibitor this year. We love the Twin Cities Book Festival. I understand it's the 20th anniversary, so I can hear you all cheering now. We're so grateful to be here, especially as a part of a wonderful night with our friends at the Kerlan Awards. Thank you so much. We've been a publisher here in the Twin Cities for 95 years. I haven't been there for all of them, but we're so grateful to be a part of an incredible literary community, a community of readers and writers and beyond. So thank you so much. Please do come and visit us and all the other incredible publishers and people who are exhibiting at the virtual event. We're sorry to miss you in person this year, but we truly are gathered together as a community in this space too. And I just couldn't be more happy. We have a lot of brand new books to show you in the spirit of a night for the Kerlan, including some new children's picture books like One Summer Up North by John Owens. We also have finally back in print Louise Erdrich's beautiful children's book, The Range Eternal, which I will say the process art is at the Kerlans. So we also have incredible nonfiction like Carolyn Holbrook's book, her collection of memoirs, Tell Me Your Names and I Will Testify. Thank you so much to be here, and I'm very excited to pass the screen, as it were now, to Lisa German, who is the Dean of Libraries and University Librarian at the University of Minnesota Press, very good friends of ours. So thank you so much and enjoy your time.
Well, thank you so much, Eric. I really appreciate that. And as he said, I'm Lisa German. I have the pleasure of being the Dean of the Minnesota Libraries, and I'm delighted to join in welcoming you to the 45th Annual Kerlan Award Ceremony. We in the libraries are excited to be a part of the Twin Cities Book Festival, this gathering of book lovers, which is now online. Today, we're sharing with you a unique area of our libraries. The Kerlan Collection is part of our children's literature research collections, which are among the gems of the University Library's special collections. The Kerlan Collection includes writers' drafts and illustrators' artwork, galleys and color proofs for more than 1,700 authors and illustrators, the raw material of children's literature. There's also correspondence with editors and with children. The Kerlan Collection holds more than 100,000 books, including beloved, quirky, classic, and award-winning books, and representative books from around the world. The collection offers engaging insights into the creative processes of authors and artists. It holds treasures, it provides inspiration, and it showcases outstanding work. The holdings are studied by teachers, librarians, students, authors, illustrators, translators, and critics from around the world. We honor Dr. Irvin Kerlan, the founder of our largest children's literature collection, with this award. Today, I'm so glad we have the opportunity to hear directly from renowned children's author Jon Scieszka. Good children's literature.
Well, that's what you said.
Happy about that, eh? Good children's literature can point the way on a journey to all kinds of experiences, along with leading to a love of reading. I am excited to see where Jon may lead us. It looks like he's leading us to Orion. And lastly, I'm profoundly grateful to the curator of our children's research collections, Lisa von Drasek, for organizing this event, and to the friends of the the Kerlan Collection for their support for our sign language interpreters today. So now I am very pleased to hand this over to Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa German. Ardeen, give it up for Ardeen. So I think we're going to have some technical transitioning right about now. So I'll say something incredibly boring. The Kerlan Award is given for the recognition of singular attainments. Mr. Scieszka.
Oh yes, I'm paying attention.
Pay attention here. So,
back there.
You know when they say this guy needs no introduction, so we're skipping the part where I introduce you and do a bibliography of all your books and all that stuff, because what I really want to know, when you got that phone call, from the Kerlan Award Committee, what was going through your mind and heart at that moment?
Well, I was in my shower in the Thomas Jefferson nose rocket, where I currently am, like 4 million light years. Well, it's actually 4.3 million light years. But this thing can go so fast. So I was kind of surprised, first of all, that your phone call caught up with me. And then second, I was like, what? The Kerlan calling me? Luckily, I had my smoking jacket with me. So I got right into it. And then I celebrated ever since.
Huh. You were celebrating. So when you think about the Kerlan Collection and the University of Minnesota, what's your stuff doing there? Like, what the?
Well, that's why I love the Kerlan. I had all this stuff and I couldn't fit it all in the nose rocket. And to have it in a spot where people can come and actually use it instead of just cluttering up my life. I don't need to see like first drafts of stuff. I got plenty of that. I got first drafts of stuff I'm working on now.
I was looking when the committee headed by Gretchen Ranke,
She's in the house today. Hello, Gretchen.
Gretchen's in the house. So when we were going through these boxes and boxes and looking at these things, one of the things that I was really amazed at, you did keep every scrap of paper.
Well, no, I'm from the old days when we actually used paper. In fact, one of my favorite events at a school, a little girl asked when my first book was published, and I said, Three Little Pigs was 1989, and she didn't even fake it. She just went, back in the 1900s? Yep. Back in the 1900s. So, and I kind of miss that now because I have
before the turn of the century
from Regina Hayes on the Stinky Cheese manuscript, which we don't have Post-its anymore. But now I get nice notes from people like Taylor Norman, my editor for the current Astronauts book, who also, she writes the digital equivalent of Stinkies.
Now, you have to tell me, does this show up backwards or forwards?
No, that looks good.
This looks great. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is the evolution of your work. So let's just go right in there very seriously, because kids will ask this. Kids will ask this when I'm reading aloud and things like that. Is it true, or do you believe it is true? Because those are two different things we've learned in the United States of America. That yours is one of the first picture books, The True Story of Three Pigs by A. Wolf, from the point of view of an unreliable narrator?
I don't think I could claim to being I couldn't claim being the first unreliable narrator. Certainly not in literature, and that's
No. Picture books. Picture books. Picture books.
I don't think the dogs in Go Dog Go are particularly reliable.
Oh, you've got a point there.
And that was my favorite book when I was growing up. So
Could you say a few more words about that?
Yeah, I carry it with me all the time. I have it somewhere. I just don't know where. But it's one of those books that it made sense to me when I was a kid, because I grew up with 5 brothers, and we had kind of a raucous household. It was not a real Dick and Jane kind of household. And that's what I was reading to try to learn how to read, once again, back in the 1900s. And I was like, I'm not going to read if that's all we get. But then my mom read me stuff like Go Dog Go and The Carrot Seed and any Dr. Seuss. And I just thought, this is worth reading. I like this. And also a bunch of dogs driving around and having a party in a tree. It's kind of like our family. So yeah, that was the beginning of the evolution of the Sciezska whatever.
And you kind of ruin my speech when I talk about how picture books are made, because I do how a manuscript goes to the editor, and the editor finds the illustrator, and the art director comes in,
Yeah, sorry about that.
And then people go, yeah, but I heard. Could you complete that sentence? How that first book happened?
Yeah, I've stopped telling the story just because a lot of editors were saying, Scieszka, stop that, because everyone comes with.
But this is a historic discussion, so it's not now, it's then.
But back in the old days, yeah, it was kind of great because I was sending.
It gives me no options for your.
That's just my conscience talking. I'm sorry.
I think we weren't able to have our sign language interpreter join us, but you should know that there will be a captioned or manuscript transcript after the discussion.
And we're still working on it too.
And we're still working on it, as you can see. So you were saying in the olden days.
So I was sending out manuscripts after I had been teaching school for a couple of years. I was teaching 1st, 2nd grade, and just thought, this is my audience. I don't need to write for adults. These guys are much funnier. They also pay attention better. They reread stuff. But man, the stuff I sent, I got rejected everywhere for that solid year. That was a sad year. Because it was like Stinky Cheese Man, pretty much as is, 3 Little Pigs, and people just thought, nah, this is too weird for kids. They won't get it. I was like, I think they will. But I was lucky to meet Lane Smith. His wife worked with my wife, who were 2 different people. And we got together, and Lane was like, oh, what if the wolf looked like this? And we sent it out, and then we got rejected more because people were really disturbed by Lane's artwork. They said, oh, man, that wolf looks really mean. Kids don't like that. Or he looks too weird. But Regina Hayes at Penguin Books, some 30 plus years ago now at this point, said, yeah, it's kind of funny. Let's try this. And then we're off and running.
So there's the picture books. And one of the things I was thinking about, especially lately, we've been talking a lot about STEM and connecting kids with research and fun books to read aloud. Can you talk about your research? Well, a lot of your fiction, like Frankie,
Frank Einstein,
and the new books.
Yeah, I mean, all of Astronauts is just research intensive, because it was just my son-in-law. Here's another weird way to find an illustrator: have your son-in-law do it, and just make sure he's like a world-class illustrator also. But we were thinking, like, we were doing presentations together. He had a couple of picture books out. Steven Weinberg, is his name, not the astrophysicist, but the other, even better than astrophysicist. And we thought, man, we love books like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Dog Man by Dave Pilkey, the Treehouse books, the 13-story Treehouse books. And we thought, why don't we do a graphic novel? That would be fun. And I thought it'd be fun mostly because I don't have to do all the work as usual. And we thought, what is more critical than climate change? So it became like the challenge, how do we make climate change understandable and seriously scientifically accurate, but funny? And we came up with the title, for starters, like Astronauts, which are 4 superpowered animals in a secret NASA program that launches into space as soon as it gets too hot. And sure enough, 3 years ago, it got too hot, too much carbon in the atmosphere, and they have to go find a Goldilocks planet where all humans can live. And the best part of this book, besides Stephen's great artwork, which is crazy collaged from museums, and we have kids do it too, which is kind of phenomenal. I couldn't figure out like who the narrator of this book was going to be. And thank goodness, so our editor, Taylor Norman, with Chronicle Books, we were just writing back and forth, and I said, there'll be a bunch of stuff here. The Earth will do something, then the narrator. And she wrote back like, Earth, the narrator? That's a great idea. And so I wrote back, oh yes, Earth, the narrator, that's what I meant. And of course, it's the best idea because Earth is not happy. She's really pissed. She's like, I'm 4 billion years old, and you guys have been around less than a million. You completely messed me up. Yeah, get out of here. Find another planet. Good luck. And then we have her all the time just talking directly to you and saying like, it's getting hot. You guys are messing me up. Keep looking. So yeah, we do. And then we do a ton of research to make sure all that stuff is accurate.
So as a teacher librarian who's zooming in to classrooms and doing that kind of work, I've been doing a lot of asking 3rd, 4th, 5th graders to fact check books.
Oh, nice.
And so this would be a great book to do a little fact checking, do a comparison. Was there any fact that you discovered in the writing of these books that you went, oh, that can't be true?
Mostly all of it. It's just so sad, like how far down the bad road we've gone. It's a good thing I was working with Stephen because we also like to just put a lot of jokes in. But oh man, it's just, we are not taking care of Earth, which is the basic message of all of this. So it's going to be a 3-book series. But I think the fun thing was for kids to find out like, oh, other species can mess up a planet. So in the first one, it's the plant planet, and the plants have just taken over, and there's too much oxygen. There's not enough carbon dioxide. And then in the water planet, the dominant species is clams, as you would imagine. And they're just a complete bunch of like, the Clam Senate runs everything. P.T. Clam Barnum is the head.
I see.
Kind of scam artists. So there's good things for kids to fact check in there.
So you did say, a lot of the information we're getting in this world today is very sad. It's kind of scary. It's kind of sad. And one of the things that's been coming to me from kids, from readers, 3rd graders through high school, is they're having a lot of trouble reading. They're having a lot of trouble focusing. You got any advice for these kids today?
Well, I think it's kind of back to the stuff I recommended for boys, for Guys Read, say, which was 15 years ago at this point, which is the same challenge. I mean, it's not that kids are being mean or being illiterate. They don't have that literature that keeps them engaged. And it's exactly that conversation I think we've been having for a long time about graphic novels are novels. They are reading. And the reading is all over the page, which is kind of fun and less intimidating. So it's dialogue. It's little labels. And I think it's that thing to really engage kids with where they are, and maybe just like let them have some entertainment or something.
Yeah.
Like, all books are not
Well,
supposed to be psychotherapy for them.
well,
Like,
as you know from the writing boxes, we do believe
yeah,
that writing is self-entertainment. It can
yeah,
be amusing, it can be fun, and it shouldn't be this sloggy hardship. I
right.
think your work are great mentor texts for that. One of the things I was thinking about when you mentioned Guys Read, this campaign, not only for guys, but for all of us
Yeah.
to find our passion, our self-selected passion for books and reading and things like that. And one of the reasons the Kerlan Committee selected you for the Kerlan Award was also your work with 826. Can you talk a little bit about 826 and why that their work is so important to your work and for kids today?
Well, it goes hand in hand with what I love to do with books, which is to give kids an example, and then to acknowledge them as readers and writers. And I think most people know of 826. It's a organization across the country with reading, tutoring, writing stations that kids can do for free. Started by Dave Eggers in San Francisco. That's where it got its name. The address was 826 Valencia Street, which I kind of love. And I worked at the Brooklyn one forever, was on the board, because I loved how just pedagogically right it was, because it let kids be readers and writers, and they made books. It was the reason for reading. Like, we just said, oh yeah, spelling is weird, it's a pain in the butt, but it's a convention. We all spell the same, so your friend can understand. And that made so much sense to kids. I love just seeing their mind blow and go like, oh yeah, I guess I should spell it the same way other people do. So it's kind of the same thing that I love to do, of saying like, guys, you can write. What Goldilocks planet would you like to go to? Or with Twisting Around Fairy Tales, so just do that. Or Knucklehead, I think one of my all-time favorite books, just as my memoir. Because I read those stories, and then my favorite thing ever would be inevitably a kid would run up after the presentation and say like, that's it? Like, I could do that. I was like, oh yes, that's exactly the right answer. Do that.
Also for the teachers, if you don't know Knuckleheads, there are 2 books right now that I've been using nonstop when I'm zooming into classrooms and working with kids and working with teachers. One is Knuckleheads, because let's think about it. The first writing that kids do is memoir. Yeah. And so these short chapters, funny chapters, you can not only hear Jon's voice on the audio, and audio is not cheating, audio is reading. Yeah. I just thought I'd put that in there. That's good. But you can just take a chapter out of this book, and it's a great prompt for kids. The other is David Bowell's book. Do you know it? They Call Me Wero.
No. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So if you're a teacher and you've been using Love That Dog for years and years and years, let's put something new in the mix.
Yeah. And something old. Knucklehead is good.
And something old, something new. Jon, do you have any questions?
Do I have any questions? Yeah. Where's my Lamborghini? Kate told me that this award was amazing because you got a Lamborghini, you got a big check. I mean, she said it was a surprise.
I spent your check.
And it's like that many zeros? I couldn't believe it.
I spent your check. The other thing is my favorite thing, there you will get a certificate, which will be a lovely thing if you wish to frame it. But Kate DiCamillo received her certificate for her Kerlan Award and not 8 seconds later handed it to me to put in the archive.
Put it in the archive directly.
No more stuff in my house.
Putting it in outer space because FedEx is so slow up here in the Orion Belt.
I'm going to look to see if there's questions here.
I can tell teachers too.
We've
got something for you in all the astronauts books. Go to, this is high tech, astronauts.space. Because there's a teacher's guide for all the books that is spectacular. Yes.
it's funny. Jean Stevenson hasn't read all the Time Warp Trio books, so she would know that there are boys and girls in them.
Yeah.
Jean. She's the
Their
president of
granddaughter.
our Kerlan board. Jean.
She can, no shaming people. Come on.
So wait, there was one thing, but now I can't remember what it was. Questions, comments. Oh, I was going to look to see if there were questions in the question box. Do you mind me looking at that right now?
No, look at it, because I'll tell people more stuff they can go find.
Oh, that was the thing that reminded me. Okay, so John,
Yes.
when the pandemic started, you guys, you and Steven, sent links to museum collections that we could create our own books from. Do you still have those in your teacher guide stuff, or do I need to?
In astronauts.space, because that's the amazing part of the books that I'm doing with Steven. Because more and more museums now, we've been working with, we started with the Dutch National Museum, the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. They have been at the forefront of this for probably 4 years. They want everyone to use their artwork. So we did. All of this stuff is collaged from like 200-year-old lithographs that Steven then recolors the backgrounds. And every book has just gotten crazier, because now with book 2 and 3, the Smithsonian has been putting all their collection online. And Steven has been more than happy to just like take the wildest things they have.
Hey, John, can you look at a page in that book and tell me which one that you were arguing with Steven about?
I don't argue with Steven. I just tell him what to do. I'm the boss.
Okay.
No.
I don't think that's true. He's in the comments noting that that's not true.
No, that's the fun thing with Steven is, well, usually what I argue with him is I say, just like make it a drawing. No words. It looks better. So in every book too, we also have, all right, Alan's here. We also have a 4-page fold out. And it's almost always a giant battle. And look at this.
Wow.
Not a word on it. That's probably our ongoing argument. I'm just like, no, Steven, don't say anything. It's so good. And it's visual reading. And then I don't have to do so much work when I'm writing something like boom. Or I think this is really one of my all-time favorites. And a spoiler alert, if you haven't read book 1, they go to the plant planet. There's a little bit of a methane buildup. Laser shark lets loose a spark. There's what that big boom is. And look at this. I don't need to say anything here. They just fly away from the planet looking like that. That just says it all. It's what I love about this format, like picture books. It just becomes, 2 things become bigger than a 3rd thing.
John, one of the things that I love the best about your chapter books that you really get, that teachers sometimes give assignments that don't take in account the kids' likes, dislikes, whatever it is. And the assignment I hated the worst was go to the library and get out a book that is over 100 pages. And I am guaranteed to have, it was like you were saying, those treehouse books, the 13-story treehouse, that they're big, thick, fun, fabulous books that I don't have to worry about. They won't be a slog.
And mad action, and there's dialogue, and there's little things pointing to things. Yeah.
So, what I was, I was going to go look at the questions.
Oh wait, I
Talk among yourselves. I'm starting at the bottom here.
Is it
From Sharon? No, from Sharon November. Yay! Sharon November wants a joke.
Oh, I got a joke for you.
You got a joke, okay?
Always. I've been researching a lot of like animals walk into the bar kind of jokes, like the duck who walks in, doesn't pay for his drink, and he's about to walk out, and the bartender says, "Hey, what's the deal?" He goes, "Put it on my bill." Like those are the classics.
Waka,
But
waka.
there's plenty of next level, like, and I'm sure all our librarian and reader teacher audience will love this one. The past, present, and future walk into a bar. And it got very tense. That's all I got.
Jon, that does remind me at the beginning of the pandemic when we were all told to shelter at home and wait and see what was going to happen. There was a message from Doctor Who, and I don't know if you're a fan of Doctor Who, but the newest Doctor, she said, and there was a message specifically from her, and it said, listen to the scientists.
Yeah.
Be kind. And tell jokes.
That's a good trio.
So I've been collecting jokes. So thank you for bringing more to me.
Yeah, feel free to use that one because I was overusing the like, what's brown and sticky and sits in the forest.
What?
A brown stick. That's first grade. Like, bam.
Huh. David La Rochelle, a artist, writer. You may know his book Moo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He wants to know what makes you laugh, Jon.
Wow. Kind of a wide variety of things. I laugh at pretty much everything. Even stuff you're not supposed to be laughing at. That was me in the back of the classroom usually with my friend Tim Kowalczyk. We were telling jokes. But man, yeah, I love reading funny stuff. Trying to think what's like the funniest thing I've read lately. Or just reading anything with my 3-year-old granddaughter these days and 1-year-old granddaughter.
Tell me about that. So you now have granddaughters in your home?
Every once in a while. Yeah, they walk across the road. And I love like their take. It gave me a whole new look at The Carrot Seed, which was one of my favorite books, I thought. And then I started reading it and Amina was like, nothing happens. Like, yeah, oh, you're right. Like nothing happens the whole book. And she didn't want to wait for the punchline. She just like closes the book and like, next. Like, let's get something with butts in it.
What's a book that they grab off the shelf they want to hear over and over again?
Go Dog Go is a big hit, which I'm very proud of. Vegetables and Underwear was a little controversial when she was just getting out of diapers and into underwear. I think she took it personally. She didn't like that book either. And I love Vegetables and Underwear. That's another good one. Oh, and also Stephen and I are always just making little books. Like Stephen comes up with an idea and he'll like draw it on paper and fold it together. So they both think everyone just makes books like on the fly.
Jon, Jenny Brown has a question from some children and they want to know what your favorite chapter in Knuckleheads is.
Wow. There's
Wow.
so many. I would have to think probably Crossing Swords, which I chose to read to then President Bush when I got my National Ambassador Medal. They asked me actually to not read that pointedly. So I didn't really read it. I just told it. I told the story. It's like what happens when 6 boys go to the bathroom together. It's Crossing Swords.
Okay, I'll share my favorite. Chapter 36. What's so funny, Mr. Scieszka?
Ooh.
I just love seeing in my mind's eye you.
Well, everyone, kids, I mean, if you ever like figure out like you're going to entertain people by telling them a joke or something in class, it's inevitable that you get caught. And that's kind of what the teacher has to say. I think it's like a law in all of the universe. It's like when the cop pulls you over for speeding. He said, do you know why I pulled you over? And you just have to say no. You can't say something like, because you're lonely. because you miss me. I've been doing those already. No, but it's that thing where you're laughing in the back, and then the teacher says, "What's so funny? Would you like to share it with everyone else?" I kind of cleaned it up for Knucklehead. It was a little, the joke we were laughing at was a little ruder. Something about the farmer and some vegetables in his garden. I'll just leave that one there. I don't know how we got down that road.
It's usually my fault.
This one's
I
your
will take responsibility. Yeah, we'll blame the interpreter. It's Alan's fault. He did it.
No.
Okay, it's so funny, I did remember years ago I did a live interview in front of about 300 kids at Symphony Space, and I had all my note cards in front of me, and 2 seconds before we started, you grabbed them out of my hand.
No, that doesn't sound like
that was you. That was Robot Zod. I remember that. That was you. Or maybe it was Kate.
Wait, you can't blame me now because
I can blame you, but now it's all on stickies. So, you're coping right now by sharing with your grandchildren, by reading aloud, by visiting schools. You're visiting schools now through Zoom?
Yeah, Stephen and I have been having the best time. I mean, it's kind of the worst time also. I mean, we really miss that interaction where you get to hear the kids, you get to see the immediate thing. But we're figuring out, like, as the kids do and are way ahead of us, how to use all this technology. And they always, like, true to like the nature of kids, figure out how to goof around in this format. So they figured out early on, like, how to private chat. Steve and I did a thing last week where the guys were just doing all the comments in the private chat, got around the teachers, like you weren't supposed to be sharing anything. But it was actually a lot of great stuff too, because kids were saying like, "Oh, my dad works for NASA," or "Are you guys really part of NASA?" But there's also the jokester who was just writing poop, 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 or just B, 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 B over and over. And then other kids started piling on going, "Stop spamming, stop spamming." But then the best part happened when we got to the presentation. Stephen was like showing how he did the artwork, and we had a nice PowerPoint. And then just stray lines started appearing all over. Like, what is that? And they had figured out how to use the annotate feature where you can draw on anyone's presentation. And we were just like, Steve and I were cracking up. It's just like, that's what we love about presenting to kids, to show them like, we were those guys. Like Stephen, I'm sure would have been doing that as a third grader. And I would have been writing poop, poop, poop on the side, not realizing my name was attached to it.
Yeah, because we don't know which kid's doing that, right?
So I bet you figure out how to do an alias pretty quickly.
Let's see. I see people are posting things.
Tell us more about the Kerlan Award. This is the Kerlan Award thing.
Well, the Kerlan
How big is the
Award.
medal?
Well, the Kerlan Award's
Is it like
been around.
bigger than this?
Oh, Jesus wept.
Wow.
Yes, of course it is. It's this big.
Great.
And it's made of chocolate.
Wow.
And as soon as we can, we're going to FedEx it to you.
Excellent.
Okay. And you don't have to keep it forever. We insist that you have it for afternoon tea.
Perfect. But no, the Kerlan Award is a spectacular thing. I love that you recognize the legitimacy of things like picture books, things like graphic novels.
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
Because I took offense when someone seemed to be disrespecting the work I do for a living.
Nobody in this room.
Nobody in this room. But it's the kind of thing when people say, "Oh, that John, it must be so easy just doing that stuff," when you're actually thinking about child development, literacy, supporting the work of teachers. And there's so much that goes on with a high level of literacy too.
That's what we understand about having been teachers and librarians. When you become a writer, it's just an extension of being a teacher and a librarian in the best way. You're engaging kids with lifelong literacy. It's not because you're winning points. It's not because you're getting stickers. It's because you chose to write this. You chose to read that. And I think that's what you guys support. I love the range of stuff that you do.
And that's a lot of, I really appreciate when we were putting together the ABC of it and our digital exhibits, how supportive all our donors. Remember, as you know, I didn't give you a red cent for your collection. In fact, I think I sent you FedEx labels. And
boxes. I got a lot of boxes.
Boxes and FedEx labels. And I sent you a librarian too.
That was handy.
What I heard, she didn't really have anything to do. You were very organized.
It was just in boxes. I said, let's just send the boxes to Lisa.
Let's just send the boxes. But the work of the archivists, and I don't claim to be an archivist. I'm a librarian and a curator. Caitlin Marino's the one who actually organizes when the materials come, and we have interns and part-time people who put together the boxes and boxes of file folders. So imagine right now, we can't be in our office, we can't be in our library doing this work and actually having a great time and having our afternoon tea and our biscuits. What we do is, for example, Jeremiah this week drove to the library, went to the loading dock, and picked up boxes and a mechanical pencil and archival folders, and he's taking these home piecemeal so that he can do the work, so that we don't fall behind in making materials accessible. And I did see in the chat that somebody was asking about how can people see your work at the library. We do scan, and we do have it up. So if you download the ABC of it, which will be a digital exhibit probably around January, we see that manuscript of the Stinky Cheese Man. And we see your handwritten notes.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Of how you move things in different order. And there was, at the bottom, handwritten was the end.
Well, I learned that was very essential when I showed the book to my son was then in kindergarten, and I read the Stinky Cheese Man stories to the kindergartners, and the story would end like the really ugly duckling grew up to be a really ugly duck. And all the little kindergartners looked at me and were just like, silence. So then I realized, oh, I'll just say the end. And then they all started clapping. That's research. That's writerly research. You have to say the end, then people know.
So you do read aloud your work?
Oh, all the time. In fact, when people send me stuff and say, like, what do you think of this? I say, oh, I'm a terrible editor for starters, but I can tell you right now, if it's a picture book you're writing, get rid of half of it and then go read it to some kids. Well, I mean, that's why I loved going to visit you when you were at Bank Street. It was just another audience for me to try new stuff out, to like also kind of play old stuff, and see what the connection was, or to hear from kids what they thought.
I remember you coming and reading the manuscript pages from Truck Town.
Yeah.
With 3- and 4-year-olds.
Yeah, and it changed all that stuff. So I think it's essential, and that's why I love that you have that collection where you can go down into the depths. Like once this is all over and I come back from outer space, and I'll put on my white gloves and go see my favorite books like Frog and Toad and George and Martha.
We won't even make you wear white gloves anymore.
No? Great.
No.
Because I have the award, right? Do I have lifetime privileges?
Because it's not best practice anymore. You put on those white gloves.
Yeah.
You don't have the dexterity to be very careful with the pages. We ask you to wash your hands.
Yeah, that was me sprinkling up the Kate DiCamillo pages. I'm sorry.
Show me they're clean. and you can touch whatever you want. Well, except for photographs. Those you still have to, because the oils from your fingers can damage those.
Yeah, you guys get online. And I think you guys should connect with, there's this great new group in Kansas City
Oh,
called
yeah,
Rabbit Hole.
we're connected.
Oh, that's right, because we talked about that. And it's Pete Cowden and Deb Pettit, who were the owners of the Reading Reptile bookstore in Kansas City for like 30 years. And they learned so much. And they're such kid book historians and creators. And now they've built an entire museum in Kansas City. It's going to be open in a year and a half. They've got a monster building in old industrial Kansas City, and there's exhibits, there's galleries.
And they'll have the ability to hold original art and manuscripts in a safe manner for anyone to see.
And to once again to legitimize children's books. I think it's going to be a game changer for all of children's books. It'll be a place where kids can come with their parents, and you can see stuff like Mike Mulligan's Steam Shovel or John Clausen's bear. It's a great exhibit. It's like a 7-foot tall bear, and you open his stomach, and sometimes the rabbit's in there, sometimes the rabbit's not.
So it's a children's literature amusement park.
Yep.
That's
One of
fabulous.
the most fun things.
John, I'm watching the time. It's 6:20, and we're going to wrap up in a few minutes. I want to say a few things because you were talking about the Reading Reptile and the Rabbit Hole. Books can be gotten. Your books can be gotten from any independent bookstore, but also if you would like to support Rain Taxi, the proceeds from Red Balloon, they'll be getting
Red Balloon's another great place forever.
So the Red Balloons here. I mean, I really lucked out when I came for my job interview here because I was able to say, "Oh yeah, you guys."
I think they've been around since the 1900s, right?
Before the turn of the century.
Yeah. Ouch.
And we want to thank Alan. We're sorry we couldn't get you up there earlier, but I'm so happy to go to all the events that Rain Taxi is able to have the sign language interpreters. Yeah. We had some this morning, but also for Kate's, someone will be. So Kate DiCamillo is Friday evening.
Yeah, because I'm going to arm wrestle her then. I had tweeted out that we were going to arm wrestle, but she chickened out today, so I'm going to have to go do it tomorrow.
And if those of you who want to hear about new picture books, we have it tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I won't be doing that much. I'll be kind of the transition master mistress of ceremonies for the picture book Palooza.
Wow.
So that's tomorrow morning. And we do have, don't miss the graphics. The graphic panels are going to be amazing. And somebody did put in the notes how cool it was that we can be anywhere and come to the Twin Cities Book Festival.
Yeah, that is kind of a nice feature. You can be in space and come to the Twin Cities.
John, do you have another event that's coming up in your life that you want people to know about besides joke telling at the Comedy Cellar?
I probably do, but I have pandemic brain. I'm lucky that I show up for the events on the day that we're living in. So I have no idea.
Okay, I get that. I have that Google Calendar alert ding. Oh, I'm supposed to be in a class.
Nope, I don't even use that. I just guess.
You just guess. Well, I'm so glad you guessed right to be with us today. Yeah. I'm going to do.
Thanks everybody for coming out. I mean, I realized like talking heads in a box is just torture at this point, but so glad like we can still be doing our good work that we do.
I do have a few thank yous. Thank you to the Kerlan Friends. Thank you, John, for joining us, because obviously it was a miracle that you even logged on.
Yeah, now that you know. I'm gonna log on tomorrow too, so
that'll be great. And I was just slipped a note from the Rain Taxi people. It's not really a sleepover, but this event site will be open. You can look at, there's short videos of, there's the mingle. It used to be, Jon, the first thing in the day would be all the Minnesota authors coming together and just a mingle. They'd have a name tag, they'd have their book, and you could just hang out and talk to Minnesotans and Wisconsinites and local people who are publishing, but also all the publishers who have supported this event, they also have short videos and things like that. So, oh, there we go. There's the link to the mingle. And one thing, Jon, that you did not know, last year at the Twin Cities Book Festival,
Yes.
it was snowing.
Oh, don't tell me that.
It was snowing. It was a grand time. We had a great time. But you know, when you do that, you look out the window and you go, who's going to show up? It's snowing.
Exactly.
But it was great. It was crowded. It was fun. And I look forward to the time when we can all be hanging out together. Any last words? Ooh, that sounded ominous.
From space, I would just love to say thank you so much, Kerlan Committee. I'm honored. I will drive my Lamborghini proudly. I will take my big chocolate wheel wherever I go and remember you every day.
Well, thanks, Kerlan friends, and thank you, Rain Taxi, for having all these fabulous kid events for all of us to reach out and be together.
Yeah, thanks to everybody for showing up.
I got nothing. Hey, there we go.